Hello, boys and girls. It is good to see everybody today. Welcome to Wood Spun Around. It's a beautiful day here in northern Kentucky. The sun is out, the wind is down, and there's no rain whatsoever. It's about 70 degrees outside, so it's just a wonderful day to be out and about. Was out a little while ago trying to run some errands, and one errand I needed to run, there's a switch I've got to find, and the place I went is not open yet. They haven't actually opened the door, so I got to go somewhere else, try to find my switch. But other than that, it's a gorgeous day. I hope it's good wherever you are. Let me bring in my one earworm today. It's not the trusty one, it's Todd. I'm glad to have Todd along. Ruby had a doctor's appointment, and um, Mark's in Greece, and Wayne, who knows? He had something else he had to do today. So it's just one of those days. And Todd, I'm glad to have you along today. And hopefully, we're going to have a good time.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm
Good.
excited to see some wood turning.
All right. I'm going to pop you back in the background. You're still open and able to talk with folks, and I'll let you let us know who all's in here in just a moment. Um, I've got two chunks of wood laying here on the lathe, a bigger one and a littler one. Um, that's how we say it in Kentucky: bigger, and littler, something like that. Anyway, I'm going to do something I don't typically do. I am not real keen on Halloween, witch, and a cauldron is what we're aiming for today. We may blow everything up. I don't know. We're going to see about it. But I'm going to start getting this between centers and ready to go. And I'm going to let Todd read off our chat, and we'll get ourselves a going here.
Yeah, thanks, Doug. I'm sitting here trying to adjust the size of this font because I don't have my glasses with me to see it. So let's see: Jennifer's Crafts and Creations, Karsten Peterson, me, Haley Wooden Burl, Roger Wallum. Goodness. The Angry Wood Turners here: Old Man River Wood Turner, Roger Kent, Todd at Glen Cove's here. I, I I always like to see more Todds. Uh, Dances with Aardvarks, of course. Is that Mike? Mike?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I'm horrible with the names. Just like when I show up in here as TLF Orcs, it blows everybody's mind. Nobody knows who I am. Vinny's here. Let's see. Tim Ponder. Hey, Ruby is there. Just got power back, so she's
Ruby.
backstage.
Okay.
All right, that's awesome. Um, and that's everybody that's in here right now. Um,
There's
you know,
Ruby.
great time to like hit that like button or something. While we wait for Ruby to come in.
Ruby's
Oh,
in.
I'm here.
Hey,
I'm glad you guys were able to start without me.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, goodness. Here's that notice again to restart to install the latest window updates. No, I'm not going to do that now. Go away. Thank you. Goodbye. Okay. Like I said, I'm not real big on Halloween, so this is an unusual thing for me. However, this the witch part of this is going to take on a very familiar look here in just a moment as we get going. And Angry Wood Turner, I have not ignored your message. I did get it, and honestly, I just haven't done anything with it because um, he was asking me about the Parfix. I've got to figure out what it's costing me, and so as soon as I do, I'll let you know, bud.
Okay,
But it's not going to be cheaper.
Mick Deuce and Anthony Green have both joined us.
All
Welcome,
right,
Mick.
hey guys, I'm glad to see everybody. It's
I'm disappointed, Doug. I thought you were going to turn me a new broomstick for Halloween.
um, well, food. Yes, I do. I had to use part of it. That's not very much of it.
Oh dear. Well, there won't be. I won't be able to get all my lights on it then.
Somebody asked me one time, "Oh, surely you liked Halloween when you were a kid?" And honestly, I did not. There was there was a couple of years where I wanted to stay home and just hand the candy out, and my mother made me go out, which still to this day surprises me.
Michael dances with Aardvark says, is that roughing gouge big enough? Crocodile Miller?
It's almost big enough.
Looks
That's a two
almost like
incher.
that. Looks almost like that wife that Crocodile Dundee would throw out there.
Yeah, yeah. Now Ruby's got a bigger one, so y'all don't make too much fun of me.
Yeah, I have one that's 3 inches in diameter.
That's huge.
Well, I got it because I was doing some very huge turnings. When you're doing spindles that are over 20 inches in diameter and 9 feet long, you kind of need something like that to take them down.
Yeah. Just squaring up my ends a little bit here before we get started. Well, in fact, I can hang on to that. So I'm going to lay out some lines just real quick. That'll
And
be the top of the. Go ahead,
Pete,
Ruby.
Pete has gotten out of bed, and so we can wish him a good morning.
Hey, good morning, Pete. So, well, y'all can't see that. My light's washing it out. I've got the top of the hat and the rim and the head kind of marked out with my skew. And so what I'm going to do is just come in here with a planing cut and start taking some of this bulk wood out. There we go. Much like I do my snowmen, so it's that part of it is kind of repetitive to that. But I'm going to come in then and make the hat more of a cone shape. I'd gone down to one of the retail stores I'll have my work in. Needed to take some stuff down and get my check from last month, and said I'm leaving. And next thing I know, I'm getting in the car, and it's after 2 o'clock already, my time. And since we come on at 3 my time, it's became a little discerning for me. Let's see. I'm a little close to that hat, so I'm going to grab my spindle gouge so I can work that down from the rim. There we go.
Now, when I did that big turning that required a huge spindle gouge, what we did was we took 3 lathe beds and bolted the legs and ways together to get the length.
Yeah.
Of course, back then I was a lot younger and a lot stronger. And the Vineyard Farmhouse has joined us.
Well, hey, how you doing, Brian?
Welcome, Brian. And thank you, Albert, for the wishes.
I met Brian over on Chris Bailey's channel. Bailey Woodworks. Y'all may not be familiar with Chris's what he's doing right now. He's doing some lives, and so been doing some interesting things. Not just his tops. He's doing those, but he's doing some other things as well, and some of it is quite interesting to see. Come back with my skew, start taking his head down a bit.
Now, does he have a particular name for his channel?
Who, Chris?
Or is it just under his name?
It's Bailey Woodworks.
Okay.
He doesn't normally make it into my lives because he's one of those guys that still works. He hadn't figured out that that's a 4-letter word. And
Yeah, Brian at Vineyard Farmhouse said he loves watching him make those tops. I think a lot of people do. And then Angry Woodturners, I think maybe this is the second time, I apologize, asking about where somebody buys a big roughing gouge like that.
Mine was a Sorby, and I ordered it from one of the companies that was selling Sorby tools.
Mine happens to be a Benjamin's Best, so you can get it from them. I got this one secondhand, actually. I was looking to make a different tool out of it, and I never did. And somebody finally talked me into using a spindle roughing gouge for what they're meant to be used for.
That's a new concept.
Isn't it, though? I never was real big on, when I first got it, I tried it. I didn't like it. It just looked like the sides were too close to the wood. It scared me a little bit. And so once I kind of figured out what was supposed to be done with it, I like it. I use it a lot now.
And DACA Timberworks has been watching that he's driving a crane at the moment. So he said he'll have to catch you again later tonight, and he's going to drop you a line, Doug.
Okay. Yeah, Ray tried to come in last week, and he broke a tie rod right at the end of the day.
Oh, dear.
Zombie Woodturners joined.
Zed.
Leo at MG Woodworks.
Yeah.
Joined.
All right, I'm going to come back down to the bottom and make myself a tenon so that I can put it in the chuck. And I wish I could figure out how to fix my light so that y'all could see that better. I'm sorry you can't see any better than what you can.
Yeah, we can make out what you're doing next to the tool rest, but the top of it is washed out.
Yeah, totally washed out through here.
Yeah, but those other sides of it, you can tell what you're doing.
Okay. Well, I've just made a tenon on the bottom end. Now I can take that off and I can put that in the chuck so that I can work on the body and actually work on the top of the head a little more.
Now, Zed says that he just learned that new tires cost twice what they did last year.
Oh.
He thinks it's due to inflation. Come on, Doug. You know that makes your day. Having that bit of knowledge.
There you go. All right, I'm going to be right back. I've got to cut this little piece here off. It's too big it's hitting the bottom of my chuck. So I just got to go down here to the bandsaw, the other end of the shop.
And
Sorry about the noise here.
Lucy has joined us. Good evening, Lucy.
All right. That bandsaw is so loud. Nothing I can do about it, though. It's just the way it is. Now. All right. So we're in there. I can finish the top of the head. That lets me do all kinds of things now that I've got that out of the way.
Well, I was looking forward to doing a lot of turning this morning, but finding out I had no power kind of put a damper on that idea.
I bet. I bet.
Be nice
Did
if
you,
they at least let us know they were going to turn it off.
did they? Okay.
No, they didn't.
Oh, they did not. Okay. Was this a maintenance kind of thing that was going on, or?
I think they took out some old poles and put in new ones down the
Ah,
street.
okay.
Ronald Todd joined us from the West Bank of New Jersey.
Hey, Ron. Took over Ward's way of letting us know where you were, didn't you? That's
And,
not bad with that skew, but I'm going to clean it up with my spindle gouge here.
and Fred Day has joined us from a damp, coldish,
There's some
and
guy.
in County Kent, UK.
There's some guy named Wayne that joined.
Well, in
Really?
fact, I'm seeing a picture, this fuzzy picture. If I go right there. Oh, there he is. Hey,
Glad to
Wayne.
see you.
So good to see you today.
Hi guys, sorry I'm late.
You're fine. You're fine.
Hey, you weren't the only one late.
Ruby just got here herself.
Yeah, they turned our power off first thing this morning.
Yeah, I saw that post earlier on. Luckily, you've got it back.
Yeah, initially when I asked about it, they said we probably wouldn't get it for a couple more hours.
All right.
Mm.
Okay.
Oh.
Good evening to everybody. Andy, I hope you recovering well, Andy. Karsten is thank you, Karsten. Haley. I'm sure Lucy said hello as well. Hi, Lucy. Mick. And Dale as well. Thanks for the invite, guys.
Glad to have you along.
Absolutely. It wouldn't be the same without you.
Okay. Started to say I don't even have a parting tool here. I had a demo last Saturday, and I realized as I got started, I have not brought all my stuff in and put everything away. So I'm having to make do.
And
But we're
MG
okay.
Woodworks has said hello to me as well. How did that demo go, Doug?
It went really well. Really well. The communication got dropped somewhere along the line. We don't know exactly where. So the manager of the store did not know I was coming for sure.
All right.
So he didn't put it in his flyer. So
So
he said,
he
"You're
had,
welcome." Said I was welcome to stay and to do any demo I wanted. I could stay as long as I wanted. He was glad I was there, but he was sorry to me that he didn't have it in his flyer. And so
Right. Well, I thought he was building that up the other week.
So
And Tim
everything's good.
Ponder said hello to me as well. Good evening, Tim.
Okay, just continuing to shape her body here just a little bit.
now Mike is asking, is there much flex in your chef knife parting tool?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
The parting tool you made from a chef knife,
Right?
does it flex very much?
Not when I'm using it, because I'm using it with the blade itself is straight up and down, whether I'm tilting it upwards or downwards, but I don't do it sideways at all. I go straight in with it. So no, not usually. It would now. In my other, oh, it's here. I thought I had it in that box. Yeah. So I'm always turning when I'm using it. I'm turning it, or I've got it turned straight up and down. If I was doing something, sideways like that, it's got a little bit, but this one has even more. I can bend it pretty easily. That's a Sawzall blade.
Hmm. How many parting tools do you need?
Well, I've got those
Lots.
two. I've got those two. I've got the little mini one that I just used here. Then I've got the regular one that's out in the car.
It's the same as any tool, Ruby. You
You
need
never,
lots. You need lots of them.
Like the gun commercial, or not gun, but the hunting supply commercial. The guy at the end of the commercials, the guy's wife, you hear her in the background. She says, "How many do you need?" And he says, "At least one more."
makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, at least one more. Whatever it is, how many pairs of boots, how many guns, how many anything. His
Good
answer,
evening, Al. I'm just saying good evening, Al, as well.
yep. But his answer is always
Now, the
just one
Angry
more.
Wood Turner has said saw blade or chatter tool. Now, they do, if you get a flexible type blade and
Uh-huh.
hold it on its flat surface
Yep,
and get the right angle with your tool rest, it can be used as a chatter tool.
Absolutely.
works very well.
All right, just gonna get this little sand up real quick here.
I'm looking at your design decisions here, Doug, with like
Okay.
the head of the witch and the body, and in my mind trying to compare to like the normal snowmen or something we see.
Uh-huh.
And I'm seeing what it's going to look like, a nice witch here, but it looks like maybe the head doesn't round back in as much, right? You sort of flatten it,
Yeah.
flatten it
Well,
there a little, and
and there's a couple of reasons for that. If you think about how a hat actually sits on a head, it doesn't sit way up on top unless the hat
sure,
is way too small. And typically, what we do is we tend to form the hat, and then we round the top of the head just a wee bit too much. And in fact, we talked about that last Wednesday night ad nauseum, and we've talked about it before. Um, so, you know, this may not be quite enough, but for what we're doing, it's fine.
but I think that if it was purposeful that way, it would make sense because it really is differentiating it from what I always see with the snowmen. So
Right?
yeah, I,
Yeah.
I like it.
I mean, I meant to have it more straighter going into the head, as you can see here, but maybe not quite as much because my hat ended up, the hat actually looks like it's too small for the head. But it's a decoration. It's not like it's representing anything real, even.
Hmm.
And witches are weird anyway.
Yes, they are.
Well, Zed commented that that's why witches wear those hats. It's to hide their flat heads.
That sounds good to me. It's always kind of funny. When we tune in to watch Pete do a turning, he says, "I'm going to burn it anyway." And most of us say, "Oh, no, no, no." Well, this is one that's probably just going to be tossed in a fire. It's probably
I
will
hope
not
not.
see the light of day. But it is Halloween, and I thought, well, since I don't typically do anything Halloweeny, we'll do it this time. So,
So the Angry Wood Turner's got to go to work.
all right,
And
Roger.
he'll catch the replay later.
All right,
And Ron
and I'll.
Todd says that he's glad to see you practicing your skew techniques, Doug,
Oh,
because
absolutely,
a lot,
absolutely.
a lot of turners shy away from doing that.
Yeah. Roger, I'll get a message back to you if you're still on. I'll get a message to you real soon, maybe even this afternoon. Yeah, Roger and I have talked about it a little bit, and he has started doing some snowmen with his skew, and um, this general design is a great design to practice your skew work with.
It definitely is, Doug. And
Yeah,
the most important word you used there was practicing.
yeah, yeah,
You
Yep.
have to practice if you want to become a master of the skew. You have to practice daily, probably.
yep, yep.
One time I was set up to do a spindle class at one of the Lee Valley stores. And unbeknownst to me, they advertised it as a skew class. So we ended
Oh.
up, we did the entire spindle class with only skews.
Okay.
And at the end, they were all making snowmen with their skews.
There you
And
go.
there you go. Like I said, it's practice.
Well, it's
The
also
skew, the skew is just a tool,
that's
and
Yes.
right.
once you master it, it's a brilliant tool.
It really is. It really is. And I would not say I've mastered it by any means, but I'm not afraid of it. I will use it even in public. And one reason I'm not afraid to use it in public, it's great to keep hecklers at bay. Just let them know I am not afraid to throw this.
It just means we have to watch less Sandy.
That's it. Well, maybe. All right, what did I do with my brush? I just had a brush out. I must see. Oh, I know what. It's in the other room. So let's get another
You're
one real
starting to
quick.
sound like me, Doug.
Well, yeah, slightly
And
discombobulated here. That's okay.
nothing to do with wood turning, but all the people that I know down in the Florida area, please be safe, please
Hmm.
move, and get out of anywhere dangerous, which is probably the whole of Florida at the moment.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
I agree.
It looks
Florida
like that's
has.
from top to bottom, doesn't it? Looks like it's going to hit just everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
I
big
think
storm.
the main thing is going to hit around Tampa, but it is going to hit top to bottom.
Yeah.
And I was looking at the projections on that, and it gets all the way up into, Virginia or someplace, and it's still like tropical storm, you know,
Yes. Yes.
Well,
Oh, they're right.
75.
The way I was looking at it, I've watched a few live feeds and stuff, and it's looking like it's going straight, just about straight west to east. It might hit a couple of bits in Georgia, but
well, after that, it'll come all the way up here to us, and we'll get
no,
rain.
I don't think so, Ruby. I don't think so. It's heading west to east. I had a look at the projections earlier on, and if it carries on the same way it's going to hit North Africa, Portugal, and Spain.
Well,
Hmm.
that's okay in my books. And Mark has joined us from a noisy bar in a very hot Cavos, Greece.
Oh, good evening, Mark and Kim, because she'll be
Well,
there as well.
he's
Glad you
taken as
guys are in.
many vacations as Terry.
Almost. He says
Just
it's only
about,
two, but I
just
count
about.
three. I'm counting three.
I was actually wondering, I meant to message Mark earlier on, and I apologise for that, Mark, because I didn't. But I was wondering if you were going to get a chance to pop across to, I forget his bloody name now.
Costas?
Costas. Thank you, Doug.
I was thinking about him yesterday as I was watching Paul Finley. Paul did a centrifugal bowl yesterday, and I'll never forget Costas doing his with a big piece of plywood, and he was using spray paint. Spray a big bunch in the center of the plywood and then spin it.
Was that the one when he did the eye?
Maybe it was on the craft festival.
Hmm.
I think the second one that he did.
Yeah, I think that's the one. I think that's the one where it actually turned out to look like an eye.
I think you're right. I think you're right. Now that the more I think about it. Okay, there's a hat. Let's see what else we can do here.
Right, Frederick Day has just said, just for info, heard yesterday Axminster have just closed 2 more stores. They don't have any north of the M25. Very sad. I think it's actually 3 they've closed. Frederick, they've closed the Cardiff one, although that'll carry on for a while until the lease runs out. I think they're closing the Warrington one, and they are closing the one in North Shields, not far from Newcastle.
That's a shame.
Is there a
The reason, I think the reason behind it is because the leases are about to run out, and the cost of the to renew the leases at the moment is absolutely sky high.
okay? Hate to hear that. Since 2020, leases, rents, all of those kinds of things have gone absolutely berserk.
Oh
And
yeah, totally.
retailers cannot afford to stay in business. This is why I hate painting.
The good thing about Axminster is they do have a very good website that you can go and have a look at, and they do have the original store down in Axminster. But for people in other parts of the country, if you want to go and have a look around, it's difficult now.
Mm-hmm. Right. Ah, my brush just got the tip of the brush caught underneath itself, and it that extra. Oh well, it'll be all right. And it's like any other kind of decorative stuff. If you don't like it in the end, you can sand it back or cut it
Yep,
off.
that's it.
Either.
That's it. Ronald Todd has said his grandson is in St. Petersburg and has already bugged out to Orlando.
Yeah. Good.
Frederick Day has said Newcastle closed now, along with Warrington. No warning to the staff either. Oh,
Mm.
that's I've got to say that's pretty poor.
No warning to the staff. That. Why would they do that?
Especially if it, I mean, if it's going to be a closure, is that not a redundancy?
I
Where
would
you,
think. Yeah.
yeah, I would have thought so as well, Doug.
Well, just again, common courtesy. It's gone out the window with chivalry and honesty and
But you still see it periodically. I've occasionally found some folks that will still hold a door open for me.
when were you in Kentucky?
When were you in England?
Oh, about
When,
20 years ago?
yeah,
I will hold a
when
door.
were you last in England?
Yeah, I will hold a door for people, and you would be amazed how many people look at me like, "You're
Yeah,
holding a door?"
what you doing?
Yeah,
I've
That,
had the same thing.
yeah, that happens to me at least 2 or 3 times a week.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
usually the people that hold the door for me are older gentlemen. And so I always say to them, "Thank you, young man." And that makes them
Yes,
smile.
sure, sure. Now I did have a young fellow the other day held the door open for me at a convenience store, and honestly, I was surprised. I did not expect it at
As young
all.
as you are, Doug.
I know it. I know it. Um, yeah, here I am, 65, and this guy was every bit of mid 20s. So
That
it was quite the
no,
surprise.
no, I would appreciate that. I really would.
Oh
Somebody
yeah,
doing that.
yeah, he did. He held the door open for me, and even said something about after you or let me hold that, or I forget what it
Yeah,
was he said, but he said something, and so I appreciated it tremendously.
Yep.
I was in it's a place called Iceland, which is a frozen food store today, and it seemed well on a Tuesday, um, pensioners get 10% discount, but
Okay.
it tends to be on a Tuesday where they do all the restocking of all the freezers.
Right.
Very nice,
So
Doug.
so I was at one particular place where I was wanting something, and the guy, one of the members of staff, was restocking the freezer next to where I was wanting to go. So I moved a box out the way, and he actually apologised for having the box. And I said, "No, no, you're fine, man. You're
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
Now, Mike said when he was a lad, that was just a couple of years ago, there was an old woman that lived in a prefab that everyone thought was a witch, so nobody bothered her. Turned out to be a lovely lady.
Mm,
Yeah, that happens."
absolutely. All right. I was debating with myself just half a second there whether to turn this in grain or side grain. I'm gonna go ahead and do.
In fact, I was in when was it? It was about a month ago. I was in Lidl's or Lidl's, however you want to call it, and I had a few things in the trolley, and uh, an elderly lady, probably about the same age as me, just had a couple of things in her basket behind me, and I said, "Well, go in front. I've got plenty of time." So she
Yeah.
went in front and she said, "Thank you. You don't get many of you to the pound." Oh, thanks. That's really nice. And I answered her by saying, "Yeah, I was drug up proper."
And you're absolutely right, Wayne. If you're brought up properly, you don't think only in terms of yourself.
Right.
Yep.
Now, Todd, are the WalMarts in your area, have they gone pretty much self checkout?
Yeah, I was at one yesterday, and I would say there was like one lane that you could go to if you didn't want to self checkout, and then all the other ones were self checkout.
Okay.
Yeah.
The reason I ask that is most of ours here are self checkout. Um, usually have they usually have at least one cashier that's there to check you out. Um, every once in a while, there's two, even in the middle of the day when it's fairly busy. But I've been amazed at people who have large baskets full of stuff. They're in line there to check out, and I've gone up with my two or three things, and they'll say, "Oh, please come in front of me because you've only got a couple of things, and here I've got this big basket." And this one lady, she was shocked and amazed that I said, "Thank you, I really do appreciate that," but at the same time, I've got nothing else to do, and I kind of want
Yep.
Walmart to get the understanding that I don't appreciate the self checkout. And and so she was just she was pretty insistent, but I never did get in front of her. I should have, I guess, but I stood there and was patient and didn't bother me.
Now, Frederick has said likes using Scan and Go. I don't know if you've got that. You probably have got that over
Well, that's what
in the
we're talking
States.
about, the self checkout. You scan it yourself.
Yeah, we have a different type of self check. Well, self checkout. It's the one where you go through and you put your basket down or your trolley next to it. You put your bag down and scan stuff as you're checking out. But
Hmm.
you've also got the scan and go in Tesco's where you have the scan thing yourself and scan as you're going around the shop.
Okay.
That's an interesting concept there. It's scanning it as you put it into your what'd you call it? Your trolley? We just call it a cart.
Yep.
Um, there's something appealing to that because you can verify the price and stuff, and maybe be a little more cautious of what you're doing as you go around the store.
Yeah.
But what I don't like now here locally for us at the Home Depot, the big box store, you go in there and there's like this wide bay of self checkout stuff, and there'll be 2, 3, or 4 Home Depot employees in the area like watching you check out.
Yes.
I just come on.
You're just about
Yeah.
to get me on my soapbox here.
Oh, and Home Depot is the worst of it. The other day at Walmart, there was like one person there, and that didn't bug me as much as the fact that they've reduced their employee count, as the
Right.
Home Depot having 4 people standing there watching me scan a can of paint.
Yeah.
And then you buy a can of paint or whatever it is, they still have to come over and like age approve you or something.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's luckily enough in the likes of the supermarkets and Tesco's and things. They only have to come and approve the alcohol. Now, if anybody looks at me and thinks I am under 18 years of age, oh God.
Hey, don't laugh, Wayne. I was asked for ID just the other day.
Did you say thank you?
I did.
I've got to ask, Ruby. I really got to ask. Did he have a dog?
If he had had a dog, I'd have taken it with me.
Oh me.
Boy, I was going to say, you think that's bad, Ruby? I was out with my dad the other day, and man, he looked so old. They asked him for a pulse. So,
Okay, that's a good joke.
When I go up to the nursing home to see my husband, the staff all think I'm his daughter.
Get that tool out of my way.
Or Zed said, to be fair, Wayne, you might just be a serious drinker. What, me?
You might be a serious drinker. Is that what he said?
Yep.
No, not Wayne.
No, I've got to say, Zed, there's nothing serious about it. I have a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
I did last night. I got myself a bottle of apricot brandy and had a nice glass of brandy on ice.
Oh, very nice.
And that'll be my 1 or 2 drinks for the year.
Wow, this end grain is it's telling me it's ingrain.
Yeah, drill it first. Use a spindle gouge. Drill it first.
What tool are you using there, Doug?
I've got a spindle gouge, yeah. But I should drill it, I guess. It'd be a lot easier.
You can drill it with a spindle gouge.
Make sure you're on center and plunge that thing in there.
Todd and Glenn Covis said, Wayne only drinks twice a year, January through June and July through December.
Sounds good to me.
Nice one, Todd.
Oh, somebody was asking me yesterday if you're going to be at Harrogate.
If I'm going to be at Harrogate?
Yes.
Is there any reason I wouldn't be?
Well, I told them that as far as I knew you would be, because you're going to be my ride from the hotel to this show.
Who was that?
I'm trying to think, but yesterday was 24 hours ago.
Okay. So Zed said Wayne was once in a bar and a fella said he would pay $5,000 to anyone who could drink 10 bottles of whiskey. Wayne left for an hour and came back and took the challenge and won it. The guy asked where he went to for an hour, and he said he went to another bar if he could do it before taking the bet.
You're a very, very talented man, Wayne.
Priceless.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's the best of the night, Zed.
All right, we're getting close here. Let's see. Let me bring out another tool that I think will finish this up even better. Yeah. This is the mini the mini finisher from Easy Wood.
That's a
I'd use
very
my,
handy tool.
yes it is. I would use my number one hollower, but it's out in the car. That's just about got us. Got to clean up this outer edge here. Turn it up on its edge just a little bit to give it more of a negative rake. It may have its.
Did anybody see? It was Ronald G. Campbell. He stuck a video out the other day, using the bevel with the carbide.
No.
I did not see him do it. Teagle does it all the time.
Yeah, it was probably about 2 or 3 days ago. Turning spindle mold, or mode, I should say, not mold. Turning spindle mold and using the carbide cutter off the bevel.
Right.
And so that would put the tool at the opposite of a negative rake. Is that what you're saying?
No,
using using that section there as a bevel from the blade all the way down.
Just what Doug's showing there.
Yeah, see, I was actually using it as a negative rake. I was turned, there's flat, and I was turned this way.
Yeah.
Using negative rake. But if I could turn it this way, so the top of the blade's facing that direction, and use this as a bevel. If this was side grain, I could go in here.
What Ronald was doing on the outside of a spindle, he was turning it the other way, so it was actually catching the bevel. So you can actually turn.
So did he turned it upside down?
No. Here's flat. He was turning it this way.
No, he wasn't. He was turning it the other way.
Oh, this way?
Yeah, that way. So he's actually
backwards.
He was going forwards, but he was hitting the bevel.
Yes,
the
that's
bevel
what I was
on the carbide.
Yeah, he was turning it into a skew.
Yes.
Basically that's what he was doing. Yeah.
Now Pete says, "Wait, what? Number one hollower can also drive and borrows your car to go out?"
That's right.
Heavens.
Frederick has said, "I don't drink alcohol at all now. In the army, it was different matter." Yeah, Fred. In the army, it was different matter for me. I think I drunk more then than I do now.
And Zed has put in the link for his premiere today. Thank you, Zed.
Good job, Zed. All right. I'm ready to finish this little baby up a little bit here. Yeah, if y'all weren't in earlier, my demo last Saturday was an Easy Wood demo, and so I've got the bulk of my Easy Wood tools are out in the car and never have brought them in.
Yeah, I just finished unpacking all of my stuff from my last demo set, and I've got to start repacking for a different one.
Yeah.
So Lucy said, "Drinking is part of army life, isn't it?" It's certainly part of the British Army, or it certainly was the part of British Army life.
I thought when I was in the army, it wasn't part of the army life. It was the army life.
Yeah, I mean, we had a thing about the British Army that we were the the best trained alcoholics in the world.
And Zed says it sounds like you need a lathe in your car, Doug.
Almost.
Well, last week I had 2 lathes in my car. Now I've gotten those out and I have to put a different one in. You have to change them up periodically, you know.
Sure.
Yeah, Carsten is asking a question here, which is a good question. I was using a traditional scraper, all was good. All of a sudden, it grabbed like mad and started tearing out. It was sharp. The angle was downward. Any idea what I might have been doing wrong?
Inside of a bowl, outside of a bowl, on a spindle. I wonder.
Were you cutting at center or slightly above, or were you below center?
I think he said in the original question that the angle was downward. So I think he was above center.
Yeah, but you can be downward, and be below center too.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Sorry, Ruby.
Sometimes people lift the handle too much and it drops below center. And Zed has asked a good question. Was it softwood or hardwood? Scrapers work best on hard, dense wood. And that's what they were originally made for. Like if you're doing ebony or something like that, you're far better off turning it with carbides or scrapers than you are with traditional tools.
Yeah, Carson has come back and said it was likely below center.
Yeah, that would tend to cause the problem.
All right.
In fact, I remember one time Jean-Francois Escalin was turning just in front of me on a different lathe, and he was turning some ebony, and he was using gouges, and all of a sudden the piece left the lathe, it came by and just missed my head.
Oh
and
my.
I could tell by the look on his face he was afraid to turn around in case it had hit me. And that was a typical problem with using gouges on ebony.
Raymond Wise has just come in. Good evening, Raymond.
Hey, Raymond.
Hi, Ray.
Little black paint on the inside of my cauldron here.
And Zed says that somewhat ironically, the title of his video today is The Termite Infested Tear Out Bowl. That's good timing, Zed.
Now, I've got to ask, were there any termites actually left in the wood? And if there were, as you were spinning them, did they get spread about the workshop so you're going to have problems later on?
You know, interestingly enough, I had some under the bark on a natural edge bowl. So for the heck of it, I popped it into the microwave for about 5 minutes. And do you know that the microwave did not kill those bugs?
Now, that is really interesting to know. It really is, because a lot of people try to get rid of bugs by using microwaves.
No, the only way I found to get rid of them is you put them into a bag with and spray some bug killer in it. But don't do it if it's going to be a bowl or something used for food.
We had a bunch of stuff out in front, and my wife was changing some stuff in the landscaping a little bit, and she comes in the house and says, "Oh, Doug, we're in trouble. We got termites." And I went out there and looked. I said, "Connie, no, they're not termites." "Yes, they are. I looked them up." said, look again, because these are not termites. These are flying ants. And she looked it up again, and sure enough, we had flying ants. She just
Oh,
gotten into a batch of them.
they are an absolute nightmare.
They'll
Now
scare
I
you to
have,
death.
yeah, we had, I should say, flying ants around about 25 years ago, and they were an absolute nightmare.
Yeah. And
Now,
we used the better part of a gallon of ant and something spray, and they finally died.
I use, I've got to admit, Doug, I use lots of boiling water.
Yeah. Yeah.
mhm. Yeah, I
That's
do
more
too.
fun to see them suffer.
Now, Pete says that he's been practicing catches the last couple of days. He has a cold, quite violent, sudden sneezing and coughing, which is fun with a skew.
Mm.
And
Now I'm
Al,
doing this. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Al says he has no interest in learning the skew. And that's too bad because it's actually a very handy tool.
It
It
really
is.
is.
It is. Well, I would say only for spindle turning, but it is one of the best tools out there for spindle turning.
Now, Zed says that he put a coffee table in the garage of a cabin in Tahoe in the winter while they were visiting. It froze overnight. And the people they were vacationing with thought he was insane.
Well, talking about Zed, he probably is insane, but getting by that.
Okay, I'm gonna get that paint just a minute to dry. I've basically got it where I can twist that cauldron off of there.
Now,
So
Zed has said in answer to Al about never want to, never. I have no interest in using the skew. He's never needed to open the paint can then.
yeah, you got to learn to use skews so you can open a paint can. Somebody, one of the guys used to do lives and talked about their only use for a skew was to open paint cans, but now they actually use it. I don't remember who that was now. Doesn't matter, I don't guess. All right, let's change cameras again. There we go. Get rid
I
of
think,
that.
no, tell you the truth, Doug, I think Mark said that at one time.
Mark may have, and now he's a huge proponent of a skew. So there's Madam Witch in her cauldron pot for
Excellent.
Halloween. So just take the bottom off of there, and I'll get some finish on both of those. They're both painted,
Now,
but I'll put a little quick coat of spray on them and just give them a little bit of shine.
okay, Fred has got a very decent question here, Doug.
Okay.
I noticed that Doug uses a round tool rest. Does he prefer that to the normal ones, and why?
Okay. The one that came on this lathe was your typical, just kind of a flat. Trying to see if I can see it.
Yeah, the
So
standard
here it
tool
is.
rest. Yeah,
Yeah, just
standard
a
tool
standard
rest.
tool rest. So I can show you. I've got everything I need to show you right here. This is what came on the lathe. Turn it around so you can see. That's the business side, just a standard cast tool rest. Okay. I changed that out real quick for this one. This is a robust, and across this top edge there is a round piece of round piece of tool steel, but just what is not even a quarter of an inch, 3/16 maybe. But that doesn't dent up. These cast ones, they dent up along this top edge, and every once in a while you got to file them down, sand them, get them nice and smooth. This one with the tool steel, you've got a little finger relief here. It curves. You can see how it curves. And then this rod here, that does not dent up. I'd still have to take some sandpaper periodically, get the glue, finish all those kinds of things off of there. This one, ding. This one is just a round bar of stainless. So it's not much different from this one. It's just larger. And so, yes, I like this one a lot because I, I don't have to fuss with all this part of it. And every once in a while, this part would get in the way of my turning. Like if I'm trying to do an inside of a bowl, this might rub the edge. And so I couldn't get inside the bowl as much. This one, I don't have that. It's simply a round bar from the center all the way out. And so I can stick this way down inside of a bowl and curve, do that bottom curve in the bottom of the bowl very easily. Any other thoughts, you guys?
Yeah,
I agree.
I totally agree as well. Tell you the truth, Doug, they are
Yeah.
very, very good. Now, Peter said, back to my thing about Mark and the skew. Mark was not fond of the skew. I taught him the basics. Terry taught him more, and now he's better than he is with skew.
Right. And he has quite a collection of SKUs too.
He
Well,
does.
he also spent a lot of time working for a fellow down the street, turning a lot of spindles. So he got in a lot of hours of spindle practice, and that's one of the best ways to hone your skill with a skew.
Exactly.
Now, the thing is, from my point of view, is that if you were turning bulls, whether you use carbides or whether you use gougers or whatever, bulls are very easy to turn. When it comes to
Hmm.
spindles are more difficult, to my point of view, from turning. Spindles need more practice,
I think so.
especially if you are wanting to do copies of things. You
Yeah.
definitely need a hell of a lot more practice doing spindle work, which is why I think a lot of turners prefer to do bull work, other than pen turners. Pen turners, it's always spindle
Depends.
work.
It's yes, but that's pin turners turn pins.
Yeah,
And I say that because I were one. Um, and I know Wayne, you've turned a pin or two in your day.
yeah, a few
Um,
thousand. Yeah,
Mark was the same way. He started off with pins. Um, I started off with spindles, but they weren't very long ones. I went everything from about 4 inches to maybe 12 inches long when I was in high school, and then um, when my in my early 30s, my father took me to a pin class, and I was all about pins. I turned, I don't know, 2, 3, 4,000 pins. Then he took me to a bowl class. I rarely turn a pin anymore. I'll turn a dozen between now and Christmas, and that'll be it for the year for me. So I'd rather turn a bowl any day. Todd, you mostly turn bowls, don't you?
Well, I started out turning pins just like
Hmm.
everybody, and then
Okay.
several years ago when I started to turn bowls, I was way into the middle of turning pins, and so I probably have like 100 kits sitting there that I had accumulated to turn because I was turning so many of them.
Sure.
That have that there must be a half inch of dust on those kits now. They're just been sitting there for so long. So
Sure.
I don't know if I've turned a pin yet this year.
well, I tell you, the pen kits didn't start coming out until about, it must have been about 4 years after I started turning. I started turning in 1986, and
Hmm.
then proper pen kits started coming out around about, I don't know, 1989, 1990. And there was only about two places in the UK you could buy them, and they were all slimlines. You couldn't buy other kits; they were
Yeah.
all slimlines.
Right.
And it wasn't until later in the 1990s and getting into the 2000s that the better kits started coming out, the single piece kits started coming out. Um, but I was never a pen turner anyway. I was always a bull turner, and I did turn a few thousand pens, but um, I was always a ball turner, and a spindle turner, but not necessarily pens.
Right. Yeah. Dale said that snowmen make great skew practice, and I agree totally. In fact, that's how I got myself over the hump, is turning snowmen a few years ago. And then when I get my snowmen for this year done, I'll be doing trees, Christmas trees, and that will be done with primarily with a skew. So that's great. Pete saying he can't turn pins. He sent Brian his pin mandrel to ensure that he couldn't. And Frederick, that's a great point. Pin kits are becoming expensive. You're not kidding.
They are.
Yeah.
When I started turning pins, the slim lines that Wayne was talking about, I could get those for about $1 a piece, and now they're
I got
closer to
that.
3 a piece.
I remember when I first started pens, way back in the 80s. When I first started turning pens, you could buy 5 slim lines for £1.
Oh my word!
Oh, wow.
Yes, I believe it. Who Zed said he turns pins when he needs one.
Fred says he's turned many pens, but none of them spell correctly.
Oh, I took an aptitude test. It was a job aptitude test with a counselor one time. Um, my parents were trying to help me figure out what in the world I was supposed to be doing with my life, because I certainly had no idea. And we got done, and in the counseling session after the test after I'd done all the tests, they had all been scored and all that stuff. He says, now, and this was, golly, early 90s, maybe in late 80s even. Uh, he says, one of these days out in the future, pens will have a way to automatically correct your spelling. Well, he wasn't too far off. Pens can't do it, but our computer sure can. And
Uh,
I hate automatic spell check. I hate it. It
I
I tell
messes
you,
agree.
me up.
no, I'll tell you, Doug, what you said there just brought something to mind about what you want to do with your life.
Right?
Okay, you had that thing with your parents and doing that thing with you. I am 70-year-old now, and I still can't decide what I want to do.
Fully understand.
You know, I'm not.
Fully understand.
I've gone through the teenage thing. I've gone through the young adult thing. I spent a certain amount of time in the army. I spent a hell of a lot of time working in care, and I still don't know what to do with my life.
Hey,
Understand.
you know what, Wayne? That's very typical of our generation. I
Hmm.
mean, think of all the career changes I went through,
Yeah,
where
exactly, Ruby. Exactly.
I was a trail guide on horseback, then I was an underwater photographer, cinematographer, teacher, the wood turning, just taught golf for a while, just a variety of things.
Yeah.
You've done a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah, it's taken me around the world and I really can't complain.
Yeah, yeah,
And you know what the best part is? Are all the wonderful people I've met along the way. I mean, heck,
absolutely.
I met you three.
There you go. The three clowns.
And then
I
I
don't think
met Mark and Wayne and found or Mark and Pete and found out the giants do exist.
That's right.
Hey, no, hey, Ruby. I'm not. I am nowhere near the size of Mark and Pete. Pete towers above me.
Yes, yes. Pete's a big boy. He is a big
He
boy.
is.
No question about that.
When I'm at his place, the doorknobs are all up here at eye level.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, this has been fun, and I tell you what, if it was up to me, we'd just stay here, just have a good time. But we got to let some folks go. Some of them have to go back to work. That four-letter word, but that's the way it is. So I'm going to say bye-bye and let all these folks have an opportunity to say bye as well.
Bye
Good night,
bye.
everybody.
bye bye.
Been
Have a
fun.
good
Good
day.
night.
Thanks
We'll
for
see y'all.
joining us.
See you next week.